Hey, hey, welcome in. Let the good vibes all begin. Something good is about to happen. Sure. I've been waiting on you. Got a seat with your name. Started with a coffee chat. Now we about to change the game. You got a story worth telling, and I got a room full of ears. So drop whatever you've been holding. Get ready because your time is here. Because when real people talk to real people, something shifts. When real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up and we bring our best. Show up to Carrie Connects and leave it best. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. This is your moment, come near. Where every story intersects and every heart connects. From a coffee chat to the main stage, just bring who you are. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Connection is the start. Carrie Connects. Entrepreneurs, voices, friends, where inspiration never ends. You did not come this far just to sit in the back. Everything you walk through was getting you ready for that. So step into the light. Let somebody see your face. Because the right conversation can change everything in this place. When real people talk to real people, something shifts. And real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up and we bring our best. Show up to Carrie Connects and leave it bright. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. This is your moment, come near. Where every story intersects and every heart connects. Over coffee chat to the main stage, just bring who you are. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Connection is the start. We started over coffee just to see if it was real. Yeah, you opened up and showed me everything you feel. Now the world is watching and they say the very best chance. Carrie Connects is where somebody finally cares. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Listen, you know it, come near. Every story intersects and every heart connects. From the coffee chat to the main stage, just be who you are. Carrie Connects. Real conversations, real connections. This is Carrie Connects. Show up.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another amazing edition of Carrie Connects. I am Coach Carrie, and I'm super excited to be here with my guest. I host coffee chats, but we had an amazing tea time. And so I am here with my guest, Tracy Borreson, the one and only. And so we're going to have an amazing conversation. We are super excited about all of the comments that are already coming through. Make sure that you share this, send this to your friends. You all don't want to miss this conversation on Carrie Connects. And so, Tracy, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing this fabulous Saturday?
Thank you, Coach Carrie. I am doing well. You know what? I have a day where, like, besides this, there was nothing I had to do today. And it was like really peaceful for the first time ever. So I'm excited. I'm all energized for this. I'm not.
I love that. I love that. I love that you are excited and energized. So, in your own way, tell us who you are, what you do, and yes, we are going to talk about the tea.
Well, I have my tea. Of course I do, because it'd be weird if I didn't. I'm Tracy Borreson. For those of you who don't know me, I spent a lot of years being who everybody else thought I should be. And about 6 years ago now, like hardcore, I would say that I started my authenticity journey, which is me figuring out who is the real Tracy Borreson and what does that mean and what do I want to be when I grow up. And the thing that is like the most important thing to know about me is I have it in my little title here. I'm all about authenticity. Authenticity, in my definition, being doing or saying what you would do or say when you would do or say it. And that's it. It's a very personal experience. Lots of people want to make it very like externally judgy, but only we can define if we are being authentic and if it's in alignment, who we really are on the inside, and what coming out on the outside, then we're winning. But it's also a constant journey. And therefore there's more to learn always.
Always more to learn. Now, you spent all these years in corporate marketing before you made this leap into entrepreneurship. So what did that transition teach you that you really couldn't have learned any other way?
I mean, so the interesting thing about the like transition itself was that I got to this point where I had realized now there's a whole bunch of inputs that go into this and a whole bunch of stories that are attached to the inputs. But for me, I had this moment where I realized that going to work every day in my corporate job was not a good idea. That it was slow and killing me. It was sucking my energy. I wasn't getting to be the mom I wanted to be. And so I remember saying to myself, how many days am I going to decide to go do this knowing that it's a bad idea? And it was 3. So on day 3, I handed in my resignation. I had like my notice period that I had to give, but then I was out. And I also knew like my boss is so lovely. She was like, why don't you go on sabbatical? And I was like, the thing I know about me is if I'm on sabbatical and I have like 1 foot into coming back here, then I won't fully go and explore what I could do or who I could be. And so I quit and I was like, I had no idea what I was going to do. Actually, like I had a side business, but it wasn't really like a bit functioning business. I didn't know if I was going to go look for another job. I didn't know if I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew I was going to figure it out. And then it slowly revealed itself over time. But now I get to do like a whole bunch of those things, which I think very compatible with me. So yeah, it was now that I know that this is a bad decision, how many days am I going to make a bad decision? Not that many.
I love that you'd made a decision to stop making bad decisions. In other words, to make decisions that work for you. Speaking of decisions that work for you, I want to take a moment to say hi to some people in the audience because showing up to Carrie Connects is the right decision to make every Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. So let's say hello to the amazing Leslie Flowers. She has a mindset show on Mondays and Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you check it out. And if you are interested in writing a book, being an author, make sure you reach out to Nicole Angai Galindo. She is our resident promoter of books and all things written. And I have to say hi to my besties beyond borders, Layla Balabas. And I love the conversation and the communication in the chat. She's saying hi to Gregory. I know he's out watching fights that are going on in the UK, enjoying his Saturday. And I love that Gabe Leal, who has his own show as well later this evening, is looking for Kenneth Dunner. Kenneth is always in the building. And so I love that Kenneth is talking about savoring the flavor. It's really about being authentic and knowing who you are. And we're going to continue that conversation. And before we move on, I got 2 more people. Well, 3 more. I want to say hi to Jedi J, who I learned today also loves the Avengers. I'm gonna have to talk to him about that later because I love the Avengers.
Oh,
And
we
then
should do a like Avengers episode.
yeah. Oh, now don't play with me. Don't play with me now, Tracy. You know I'll do it. I'll do it. And we gotta say hi to David, who is all the way live, and Meryl, who has written a book that's going to cover us, is super excited to join us. He is in northern New Jersey. Continue to drop where you are visiting from. Make sure that you drop. What is the weather? Is it nice outside yet? Because the Midwest continues to play in my face repeatedly. And then we got to say hi to Jackie Hallberg, all things relationships, anything that has to do with getting together, getting back together, getting yourself together when it comes to relationships. Jackie Hallberg is an expert that you should reach out to. Pipi Torre, hola, ¿cómo estás? I hope that you are doing well. I'm so glad that you stopped by to visit us. And then also, Stephen is here as well. Excited to see you. And so make sure that we are saying hi to those people. I mean, we got more guests. Now, if Vital Carrie, I'm probably making a mistake when I pronounce your name. So charge it to my head, not to my heart. Make sure you jump in the DMs and give me the pronunciation. So when you are here next Saturday, I get it right. And so there are so many more people who are in the comments, continue to have those conversations, continue to engage. Mary Kay is here. Thank you, Meryl, for sending her that link and getting her in the building. You all continue to invite your friends. This is our community. And the more we support each other, the more that we grow authentically. We had an amazing Social Saturday conversation about collaboration and engagement. And that's really what this is all about. And Terry, thank you for letting me know what you do, because y'all know I be forgetting. Okay, I'm not as good as Leslie Flowers. Leslie Flowers knows the date, the time, the place. And so I'm just doing my best, saying hi to everybody. Let's jump back into this conversation, because you really have, Tracy, when we sat down for our chat, you really just resonated with me. And I really love that you have this core conviction that there is no single marketing system that works for everybody. And a lot of people try and sell these one-stop shop marketing systems. So break that down for us. Why do so many entrepreneurs get this wrong?
Well, okay. So first of all, how long is the show? Okay, just kidding. There's two main problems here. So first of all, there's people who do a thing and it works for them. And so then they think it's helpful to be able to tell people what it is that they did in order for other people to have an idea of what to do. This is very helpful if you're going from a 0 to 1. So if you have no idea at all about marketing and you want to do something, then this can be helpful. Where it runs into a dangerous zone is when the person who is selling that is selling it like a magic bullet. So this worked for me, and therefore it's going to work for you, and it's going to work for everybody at all times in all industries. And you're like, that's not true. If you ever hear anybody saying that about anything, magic pills that help you lose weight or marketing systems, that's not a thing. Like, there's no such thing that works for all people. If there was, every single business on the face of the planet would be running the same marketing program, and they're not. So that's not a thing. That is a like individual discernment job, right? Like, we have to believe as individuals that there is no one right thing. However, there is a thing that can match us. And so if you're out and people are out in the world being like, oh, this is what I do, and that sounds like something you might do, then it's a good thing. Again, 0 to 1. It's a good thing to test, but also make sure you have friends like me and like Carrie, who will tell you that if you try a thing, even if it feels like it fits and there's something that doesn't work about it, that does not mean that you're broken. It does not mean that you need to change. It does not mean that you should. I had a dear friend who was an intuitive eating coach, and she went through this program that convinced her she needed to be a weight loss coach because that's what people were buying. And I was like, God. So there was all this like peer pressure tactics of like, she was also single mom and like, how do you got to make sure that your kids have money to go to, like all this like scare tactic stuff, which I do not believe in. And so like that, but we have to come back to like, what would we do? I actually have a like poster on my wall that says, what would you do? And most of us don't really know how to answer that question because we haven't been asked it that much. We've been told what to do, but we haven't been asked the question, what would I do? And so we need to practice answering that question. What would I do? And if I wouldn't do that, if you wouldn't send 20 cold connection requests a day, then don't do that.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much money that person made off of their system that doesn't matter. That's not yours. Let's go find the things that are yours.
Yes. And what I found is that a lot of times people are selling systems, and that's really where they're making the money, by selling systems that they haven't even tried that actually don't work for them or other people. So I love that you are so authentic. I just think that's so important, to live in that space where authenticity matters. Now, speaking of authentic, I got to talk about this. You have a show, and it is called The Crazy Stupid Marketing Show. Now,
Yes.
what makes a marketing idea crazy and stupid? Now, you actually said that. Why is that a good thing?
Okay, so my definitions, all of these are my definitions, obviously. I encourage people to create their own definitions. My definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Most would know that as the definition of insanity. Stupid is doing things because someone else told you to do them, but you have you don't know why. You can't see it in your results. You didn't choose it. You're just doing it because someone told you. Someone told you to post on social media every day, so you're posting on social media every day. Stupid. Now, the interesting thing about that is it's not inherently tied to a specific activity. So you could post to social media every day in a meaningful way, or you could post to social media every day, and it could be a huge waste of time. So crazy and stupid are sneaky that way. You really have to know how you're interpreting them and their relevance to you. Now, the reason why it's good is because it helps you understand where you're wasting time. So what I love the most about the show is helping people to see, like, what am I doing that might be crazy? What am I doing that might be stupid? And how can I not do that? How can I do something else? Because there's so much time and so much money, but also so much energy that is wasted on marketing. And it's crazy. That's the thing people see about you in the world. You don't want to be wasting things on that, right? Like, you want to be sending your best energy out into the world for those things. And if you're not, then stop it. Permission from Tracy to stop it.
I love that. Permission to stop. And a lot of people really don't give themselves permission to stop. They are listening to other people. But I love that you said crazy, stupid marketing is good because it gives you an opportunity to see areas of improvement. And I used to do that on different jobs that I had, different people that I watched. I'm like, okay, I'm learning a lot about what not to do. And so that is valuable data. That is actually really, really valuable input. And so I encourage people, David says there's no magic pills, just magical moments of encouragement. And you can dig that. All right.
I can dig that.
And so when you're talking about this human complexity as one of the central challenges, I won't say it's the only one, but one of the central challenges in business, walk us through this wind analogy. You talked about when we met and why harnessing the wind instead of controlling the wind. Why does that change everything?
Well, first of all, you can't control the wind. So there's lots of things. And this is where I love analogies because I think analogies give you the opportunity to pressure test things in a fun, less pressure heavy way. And so when we think about trying to control the wind, we know that we can't. But humans have created some things that allow us to harness the wind. We have windmills that spin and then generate electricity because of the wind, not because they controlled the wind, because they harness the wind. We have sailboats that can do crazy sailing trips around the Horn of Africa. Maybe you don't want to, but you could, right? Like, because we came up with a way to harness the wind. But we get very confused with the difference between what is controlling something that we can't control. And I think a lot of funnels fall into this category. So whether it's a marketing funnel or a sales funnel, that people start believing that they can control. You cannot control other people. I always say any parent who's tried to get their kids to eat peas knows that you can't control other people. You just can't do it, right? We can influence people. We can force things. But like, is that what we're going for? That whole energy we have when we're trying to force a kid to eat a vegetable that they don't want to eat, is that the energy we want as our like foundation for marketing? I would say no. So the wind are your customers, are the wind. The market conditions are the wind. The economy is the wind. All of these things are the wind. We don't control any of those things. What we do control is how we can adjust and adapt to the things that are happening. And when those adaptations come from who we are authentically, then we find a pattern, a behavior, and new ways of doing things that then can become our default that are related to what we would do. And then we end up like, can you also imagine like chasing the wind? I feel like in sales and marketing, a lot of people are chasing, right? Like the wind, it's like this. Let's talk about tornado wind. Right? That wind, you cannot go as fast as that, right? Like you could chase it for your entire life and not go that fast. That's exhausting. Why would we do that when we could just like capture the wind? But then we have to slow down and say, hey, I got to figure out a way to capture the wind. How am I going to do that? Do I want to build a sail? Do I want to build a windmill? Like, what is the thing that makes sense for me to build based on who I am and what I'm trying to harness that wind to do?
I absolutely love that concept. So let's go back first to the vegetables, okay? Because I am a teen. I'm not a teen mom. I'm the mom of a teen, for clarification. And my son told me the other day, he was like, "Mom, like you're a great cook," and I am. Thanks, son. But he also said, I really just like asparagus. I said, what kind of 16-year-old just likes asparagus? So like the broccoli, the macaroni and cheese, the greens. Well, mac and cheese is not a vegetable, but in some households it is. But he is like, I really, asparagus is my favorite vegetable. And so what I'm doing, because it has such nutritional value, is just making sure that he gets more of it. So I love this idea of when you're trying to harness the wind, even whether it's in your family relationships, your personal relationships, your business relationships, look at the tool that's going to work for you and kind of blow you in the direction that you are hoping to go. That sailboat analogy is so great. Hopefully you have it copywritten. But that's
I mean, I feel like whoever invented the sailboat probably has patented somewhere.
Well, like, that's possible. That's possible.
It, folks. Use it. Free distribution. Use the sailboat analogy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So using the sailboat analogy, one of the things that you did was you co-founded this amazing, I want to say business in September of 2025, the Collaborative Entrepreneurship Incubator. That in and of itself, we could spend an hour on just the name. But when you created this Collaborative Entrepreneurship Incubator, when you co-founded it, what problems were you all trying to solve? And why did you think that you needed a community in order to solve it?
Well, I mean, entrepreneurship is interesting. And actually, I saw that Leslie had asked a question like way back about like money. Where is it? I'm going to find it. Yes. Not having a regular paycheck certainly brought some problems moving from corporate to entrepreneurship, right? And I'm like, this is very common, because in corporate we have that dependable paycheck as entrepreneurs that we don't. And so it's very easy to get into lack mode. And from lack mode, then we create panic, mode. And then we're doing all of these things that are like very desperate in order to collect money that used to be consistent. And so it's really like, that's a very common behavior in entrepreneurship. And another thing that is a very common belief in entrepreneurship is that you have to do it by yourself. That I now have to do the marketing and the accounting and the hiring and the business planning and like all of the things. And it is overwhelming. And so we can carry around that belief and that overwhelm, or we can change our belief to something that's a little more empowering for us, which is that I don't have to do it by myself. I was not meant to do it by myself. Yes, I might have my own business, but that doesn't mean I'm meant to do it by myself. And so how can we, as entrepreneurs, participate in community, in collaboration, so that both businesses can grow, both people can feel like it's a meaningful investment of their time? We're not just doing like straight trades. That's something that's very common for entrepreneurs, right? Like, you need marketing help, I need accounting help, we'll just switcheroo it up, but then neither of us get paid. And then we're still in this like lack mode because we can't feed our kids whatever vegetables it is that they're going to eat. And so like we get caught up in that. So the incubator, and we chose the word incubator as more of this like scientific discovery zone of like, what are the components of meaningful collaboration? What do people need to know about each other? What do people need to know about themselves? How do people need to communicate? How are we limiting our possibilities of collaboration by only looking at transactional collaborations? We could do an hour just on all of the things happening inside the incubator. But the point is that every two people create a unique collaboration. And so while there are meaningful skeletons on which we can build collaboration, to some degree, each collaboration is going to be unique, and two different people have two different energy signatures. And how do those energy signatures combine? And what role does context play? And when does it layer in? Should context come first? Should context come later? Like, these are all of the things that we are playing with, so that as individuals who are running our own businesses, we have a greater capacity and capability of collaborating meaningfully. So that's kind of the whole principle of the incubator. If you want to learn more, come ask me about it.
Yes. You all make sure that you connect with Tracy. Ask her a question. She is doing some amazing things, has some amazing shows during the week. Stephen said being able to do something yourself shouldn't be confused with whether it is wise to do the thing yourself. And so I hear you saying a lot of people have all of these different roles as entrepreneurs, but this incubator gives you an opportunity to build community. So what would you say to Stephen?
Well, hi, Stephen. It's good to see you. I would say that first. But I think the difference is between what can you do and what do you want to do. I think a lot of times we've been taught that it's selfish to take into consideration what we want. Like, I need to do this, but I don't want to do this. So I have to do that. I have to trade all of these needs for wants. And again, we get this weird experience going on about how like hard everything is. And it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard. So if it's feeling hard, that's probably because you've created a framework, a belief, a story around how it's supposed to be hard. And that hardness serves you somehow. And like, this is one of my favorite things about collaboration, is being able to like open up the doors of those things that maybe have been locked away in your own like rigmarole of your day to day. And someone else comes in and is like, oh, have you thought about this? And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I haven't thought about that. And in an instant, something can shift. But if we're only in our own heads, doing it all ourselves, that shift comes much, much more slowly. So if we were really trying to speed up anything, whether that's success of our business, moving people through a funnel, like finding a romantic relationship faster, right? Like any of these things are usually hindered by a belief of some kind. So if we can challenge those beliefs and then very honestly say, like, again, from an authenticity point of view, I'm choosing to keep this and I'm choosing to let this go, then that practice of authenticity is really what like allows us to create the behaviors that empower us instead of just doing the things everyone else is doing because someone told you that you should.
I love that so much. I love it so much because a lot of times we hear what other people have said for us to do. And Jackie makes a good point when a lot of people are stuck in lack mode. And I wonder if that has something to do with because we're not living authentically. And so she says, thank you for helping us to get out of lack mode.
It's so common too.
It
is
is
the problem, right? Like we get caught up in these narratives, not because we are not smart people, but because these are the like global economic narratives right now. You hear about it on the news, you hear about it in how people write things. We want to support the people who can't get a job, right? And all of these narratives are lack narratives. And we start to believe that lack is what is available. But the interesting thing, and this is going to sound very woo, but like when you switch that to an abundance mindset, my friend like Russ Hedge is like particularly great at talking about and doing it. All the same things can go into that story, the same amount of time, the same amount of people, the same amount of opportunities, but all of a sudden you see them instead of seeing what you don't have. Nothing actually changed. You just looked, you took your like little pinhole and you moved it over here, and now you can see completely different things.
That's true. And I always talk about the reticular activation system, and what we focus on expands. And so I love that you talked about, that needle being laser focused on the things that you want really help to expand your mindset, your vision, but also your business and your income. David says, accept the things you can't change, have courage to change the things you can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. I find that part of that wisdom is doing exactly what you did, having that incubator of entrepreneurship, because we don't know everything, right? And
we don't, in the like circle of knowledge, right?
Right.
Like what we know that we know is a very tiny sliver. There's also some things we know that we don't know, that we don't like think about consciously. There's things that we know deep down. That's where you feel a misalignment. We know them, but we don't know them consciously. And then there's things that other people know about us that we don't know, which is where community is like hugely powerful. And then most of the circle, like 98% of the circle, is things we don't know. We don't know.
I would agree with that.
A lot of stuff.
I would definitely agree with that. We don't know what we don't know. And so a few people are making comments about collaboration, and I'm just curious what you think about that within this incubator. Jay says collaboration can be done with cooperation, not competition. And so we had a conversation earlier on Social Saturday Chat, and part of the commentary was that competing within your team to push each other to grow can be helpful. And so what are your thoughts about collaboration and cooperation and competition?
So for those of you who don't know me, I grew up as a competitive athlete. So like competition, I think, has a very healthy place in sport. Although, fun fact, earlier today, I was completing my Keeping Girls in Sport training because I am coaching now as well. And there's a lot of stuff that when we only focus on competition, we miss from a cooperation and collaboration point of view. And so personally, I don't believe from a business point of view that competition exists. I think competition is a myth. We might be participating in the same industry, but like, if you look, well, the last time I did this test, which to be fair was a while ago now, when I did the test, I looked up how many marketing strategists are there on LinkedIn. LinkedIn came back with 1.7 million of them. So I could put myself into a category of marketing strategist and say, I am one of 1.7 million people who do that. That's a very difficult way to stand out in a very large market. However, first of all, I don't know all of those people because my brain would explode, but nobody does authentic marketing like I do authentic marketing. And even since, so also fun fact, I invented the title Authentic Marketing Advisor. When I invented it, there was no other authentic marketing advisor on LinkedIn. Last I checked, there were 3. So now other people have identified as that role and like run with it, which I love, right? Like, that's great. It's not mine. I don't own it. But like when you find a thing that you're like, that's me. Yes, I'm participating in this huge marketing industry, and there's people who are really helpful and there's people who are not at all helpful. And we're all mixed up in this weird jumble of who to trust. But I'm just going to show up and be me. And that's my best chance of finding people who like that and need that. And so like, there's not really competition. Competition is made up. And again, like, I love the Olympics. I cheer for the Toronto Blue Jays, right? Like, I love me some good like sport competition, but I think sports has done a very good, especially with women's sport, there's a lot left to be desired in terms of the mental health that is going on in the arena. But there is I believe sport is a safe expression of competition. And in business, especially as entrepreneurs, I do not think is a useful expression of competition. Yeah.
You know what? I would agree with you. There are some language barriers to mindset, and I think that there definitely needs to be adjustments in how we communicate what's healthy, not just for our children, but for adults, for people in entrepreneurial spaces, for people in job spaces. Mike LeBlanc says real and true collaboration is stymied by ego. How would you respond to that?
Okay, so first of all, we can't get rid of our ego. I think this is a very important thing that we need to understand about the human psyche. It's not eliminatable. I like to call mine Voldemort. So I can tell when my ego is like running the conversation, and I can like be like, okay, whoa there, Voldemort. Voldemort is the bad guy in Harry Potter, in case anyone isn't. No, I happen to have my Harry Potter cup today. I'm a big Harry Potter fan, but so I call mine Voldemort, so I can tell the difference between me, my thoughts, and my ego. But it's in you. You can't get rid of it. It's one of those things like it's the wind. You can't get rid of it, and you can't control it. It does its own thing. It thinks it's protecting you. It may or may not be. Usually it's not. It's protecting our like old, like caveman days version of humans.
Right.
Which we have, I mean, there's parts of us that have evolved beyond that, but not all of us have evolved beyond that. But like I do agree, Mike, that it is stymied by ego, and ego exists. So again, how do we use that knowledge as a sail to harness the ego, and to, I don't like to say manage the ego. I would say, even if we're talking about collaboration, let's partner. Let's collaborate with our ego to see how we can like make that better for what we're trying to do.
I love that. Partner with the ego. Now, I don't call mine Voldemort, but I definitely know that we have what I call the narrator. And the narrator, this subconscious space that gives these voices about who we are, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And I love that idea of that partnership with ego, with that part of yourself, as opposed to trying to ignore it or get rid of it or, put it in this box. And so That is really, really profound, even for me. See, even as the host, I am learning. Partner with the narrator, aka Vladimir. Love it, love it, love it. So before I go to because I have so many questions about that, but I want to interject and ask this question. Layla asked, "What marketing strategy would you recommend for a new emerging brand?"
Well, Layla, I would recommend that you and I have a one-on-one conversation, not because I'm trying to keep it to myself, but because I don't know you well enough to make recommendations. And this is a stand on my authenticity that is very important to me to take, is that I don't believe authentic marketing is about doing what's right for you. And so by nature, it doesn't go with sweeping advice. And whether you're you're an emerging brand, why are you an emerging brand? What are you trying to do? Are you participating in a traditional kind of market? Do you want to stay small? Are you trying to scale? Or there's lots of things that would go into that conversation. What I would say is when you're in conversations like this, or you're looking and consuming other content on marketing stuff, try it on, right? I think it was Mary Kay back up there somewhere was talking about the concept of a brain buffet. This isn't just a brain buffet that you have to consume everything. And we're like, we paid that $10.99, so we're going to eat all the things. Don't. Everybody regrets that later. Here's stuff, try it on. What do you like? What do you not? And if you like something, come up with a tiny little way to test whether or not actually doing it creates energy for you. And then that, I would say, is something I would love to have a conversation and brainstorm about, how could you test something in a little way to see if oh yeah, that is a thing that actually resonates with me, or if it's a thing that you can really easily throw out.
Yes, yes. And here's Mary Kay's comment saying that when we seek knowledge in teachers, we sometimes forget to check in with ourselves to see if the strategies work for us. And there's your comment, instead of treating it all like a brain buffet. And so I love your response to that. And I really appreciate the opportunity to show the audience authenticity in action. Listen, get into it, okay? Because I'm the exact same way in my business as a licensed financial coach. I can't just tell you what your numbers are and tell you what the plan is if I have not met with you. And so I love that even when it comes to marketing, especially when it comes to marketing as your area of expertise, that I have to have a conversation with you to really talk about who you are, what you do, what your goals are. Listen, I love authenticity. I better get into it and get in Tracy Borreson's DM before I do, because I'm going to DM her right after this. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you're having those conversations. So I know that your collaboration business just started in September 2025, and so it's in its infancy. So what have you learned so far about what works and what doesn't work when it comes to collaboration, or when it comes to being in this collaborative entrepreneurship?
Ooh, okay. So kind of like marketing, but there's no master list of what works and what doesn't work. There's a lot of things that can work. And the biggest thing that causes a collaboration not to work is misunderstandings. So a misunderstanding between 2 or 3 or more parties about why we're doing a thing. This is... And it's really interesting because in order to get the clarity, it is really heavily dependent on the person, and 2 people who are more self-aware might have an easier time figuring out a collaboration that works. But you might have somebody who you're aligned, really aligned from a vision point of view, but you're not aligned on a product point of view or how that's supposed to manifest in the world. And then one person was like, well, this is this was this whole thing, right? We were going to do this. And then the other one's like, I thought we were doing this. Especially when you get excited about a thing, right? So if you're excited and something has touched on a real passion area for you, it's very easy for the excitement to overtake the clarity of what it is that we're doing here. And so one of the exercises that we're actually just in the process of developing, we're building this ecosystem mapping tool, and we're doing a pilot right now on like what data is relevant and how, like, who do we, what components do we match with, and what does that mean, and what do people need to do, and anyway, there's a whole bunch of, like, again, come and talk to me. I can talk about all the things. I'm like the R&D partner, so I'm like doing all the research, and it's like so much fun. But we come up with this. Actually, it came from, we did a live conversation a couple of weeks ago, and one of our guests had mentioned this idea of the Venn diagram, right? And you have the Venn diagram and you have the overlap. And what is the overlap? Are we being really clear on what the overlap is? Are we working together because we have the same niche and that's it? Are we working together because we really see this big possible change in the world? Are we working together because we want to build a product, right? Like, what is the overlap? Because if we don't have very good clarity on what the overlap is, it can get very messy, very fast. And I will say specifically for me, because I'm a marketer, people love to assume that I'm going to do marketing activities because I'm a marketer. But I only do marketing activities that make sense. So I'm not just going to like make a landing page for a thing if I don't think it makes sense for there to be a landing page for a thing. I was working in a collaboration earlier this year where they were like, we need a website. So I made a website, and then they're like, no, we can't have it on Squarespace. It needs to be on Wix. And so I'm like, okay, I'll move it over to Wix. And like, in the meantime, I've done like 6 hours of free work because this was supposed to be a collaboration, right? And then they were like, no, now we need to change the name. And like, I was like, okay, I'm done with this, because now we got so far, the doing got so far away from what I thought the overlap was that I can't participate in this anymore. And I've seen a lot of collaborations fail because of that. And I also, as I say that though, I really want people to understand that not everyone is supposed to collaborate on everything. No, that doesn't work, right? Sometimes you get into these collaborations to learn something about yourself, so you know that that's not what I want to collaborate with people on, and that's okay.
I love that so much, because you're extending that idea that you brought up earlier, that sometimes you're learning what doesn't work, but it's also part of the journey of you. When I have a birthday, I always say happy new you year, because it's a rebirth of self. But this can happen any day with any partnership and any collaboration. You're learning about who you are. You're also learning about who you are not. And I think that's why those authentic conversations are so important, but also recognizing that who you are now is not who you are after you have that conversation, because we're constantly evolving. We're constantly growing. We're constantly changing. Yolanda, thank you for being here, says, when you focus on what you don't have, you feel like you're working on the problem, but in reality, it keeps you stuck in the problem instead of moving towards a solution. What do you think about that?
I mean, I like to look at this again in terms of like what feels hard and what feels easy. When we are working on a problem, that usually feels hard, which means there's probably some kind of reason that that's not your problem to work on. And when we do have these like kind of bigger mission kind of problems that we're contributing to, I wouldn't even say working on, because like there's a lot of people who are then contributing to that. Like, does that drive you in terms of your energy? If it is like working on a problem, this is how I feel when I'm working on my accounting, which is why I have an accountant, right? Like, it just feels so draining. And so I know it needs to get done, but like, I don't have to do it. Someone else can do it. I can do the things that drive my energy. And so if at the end of the day, your day is full of problems that you've been working on that feel hard, then I think a great question to ask is that my problem?
Get into it. I love that. Is it my problem? And a lot of times we're trying to solve things that absolutely have nothing to do with us in a specific way. Other times you're in that space because there's something that you need to learn. So you mentioned earlier, Tracy, that you've been on a 12-year authenticity journey, just consistently removing every layer that was not actually you. What would you say has really been like the hardest layer to shed?
Ooh, the family, like the family patterns.
Don't knock me out on my own show.
Still working on that. I'll be honest, like, so I am like, I did the whole like parenting and entrepreneurs thing at the same time. But I feel like when you start from a like specific mindset at the beginning of a journey, it's actually pretty easy. Not that there aren't going to be things that feel hard or things that you shift, but the path is less clouded. Let's put it that way. When it comes to your family, especially like if you've been in your family and participated in a certain way in that family for like 40 plus years, these are harder patterns to break.
Yes.
So while it might be really easy, and this is a thing I love about coffee chats, tea chats, is I get to go and meet a new person and there is no backstory, right? We just get to create from day one. And that's like super exciting and so fun. I don't have that same experience with my sisters or with my parents. I have a lot of backstory. I have a lot of stories that I based a lot of my experience on that weren't true. And then going back and addressing those stories and taking care of like little Tracy and her feeling about those stories and how like we can go together as a like Tracy team into the future instead of using those old stories. This is how I talk about it. may not identify with that. But this is how it helps me. I have like follow the yellow brick road, Tracy's linking elbows at all the different ages, and we like go places together now. But like that is like continually exposing itself, even as part of my journey now. And I fully anticipate that it will continue to expose itself. But what it also has done, I will tell you this, my whole childhood, I thought I had to be a certain way in order to fit in with my family, in order for people to love me, in order to feel appreciation, get appreciation, all those things, earn a place, however you want to say it. I had all of those stories in my head. And in practicing just doing what I would do, which recently manifested at Easter as me baking, because I feel like that represents my belief about the season instead of chocolate Easter bunnies and consumerism. Again, that's my perspective, not right or wrong, but that's mine. So I did that. Okay. I made breakfast. And my sister, who has a newborn, is dairy free right now because the baby's allergic to milk, and so I made it dairy free. And like these are things I had to figure out how to make dairy free. But like these are the things that bring joy to me, is in my contribution to my family. And it's been so amazing because my family has been like, really? You want to do that? Because none of us want to do that. And I'm like, great. This makes it easier for everybody. So now we have breakfast. You guys don't have to worry about the breakfast. I'll just do what I want. They feel really good buying all the chocolate, right? So you still get the chocolate. But it actually, in like doing what I would do, it has more readily helped me find what is like my natural place instead of this like weird earned place, which isn't actually available. It doesn't exist. So it's been really interesting to go on that journey. But yeah, it's a continuing journey.
Definitely, it is a continuing journey. And hearing you talk about that, because I'm the oldest of 6. And so that family conversation is so important, and continuing to be authentic and recognizing who you are, going back into your childhood. I always recommend people read The Mountain Is You, because she does an amazing job of helping people to navigate through that journey if that's something that you're interested in. And so I love that idea of being authentic with self, but also being authentic with family. And it reminds me of that movie where the lady didn't know, and I can't think of the name of the movie, but she didn't even know what type of egg she liked. And so there's some point in the movie where she goes in and she cooks all of these different types of eggs, you know, to find out, like, who am I outside of who people tell me I should be? So you said that humans in confusion, sometimes they'll make these decisions, but it's based on other people's relevant data, not necessarily relevant data for you. So when you're doing that, what is the cost? What does that cost entrepreneurs specifically?
I mean, I think specifically it costs us in distraction and misbelief. Right? So we start to believe these quote unquote truths, which are not, they're not ours. But then we make all of our decisions based on that being truth. And that is a distraction. It's distracting us from being able to choose what we would do. And I think this actually ties in because Mary Kay asked a question about how I feel about intuition as a tool.
That was coming up. Look at this intuition working. I already had the little mouse over it so I could click it. Come on, alignment, authenticity, get into that too. All right, go ahead.
But we're not taught to practice our intuition. We are like, as children, we are taught to do what our parents tell us to do. Okay? So then we become parents, and then our belief is that we just have to tell our kids what to do, and then they'll do it. And the good kids do it, and bad kids don't do it. And they're like, oh, this anything about there's no bad kids. I will stand here right now and say I do not believe in bad kids. I believe in unhelpful stories that kids and parents are carrying around that makes everyone believe that there's such a thing as a bad kid. But we don't get asked, just like I mentioned earlier about what we would do. We don't get asked that. So we don't know what we would do. We don't practice taking time to tap into our intuition. So then a lot of us in our like 30s, 40s, 50s, where we are feeling so much misalignment that we know something has to change here, that we start practicing tapping back into that. But if I work with my 8-year-old on it, to be honest with you. I'm like, feel it in your body. Where is it in your body? Let's feel it. Unless you practice that, you can't harness it. Again, intuition is like the wind. It goes, it comes and goes. And sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not because there's too much noise from other things, but it's not actually gone. Your intuition is always there. It's about whether or not we have an intentional practice or an intentional tool to tap into that thing so that it can be harnessed into something. Because we can also spend a lot of time trying to tap in, but then if we don't connect the dots to it's generating electricity, then it's just there. And it's always there. It's always there inside of you. You could decide today to be like, I wonder what my intuition says about me staying and listening to this show for longer. Right?
Your intuition is on track right now, baby. Look. Yeah. Listen to your intuition. I love that because a lot of times we have these things that are kind of like buzzwords in the industry. Like, what does it mean to build an authentic business? The buzzword versus the real. And so Felipe is asking, what are your thoughts on keeping the door open with family? Because sometimes even that concept of family can be a buzzword. But what are your thoughts on keeping the door open with family for them to come back through when they're ready to see you, appreciate you, respect your boundaries?
I think this is a practice in authenticity. Right? So if your desire is for your family to be able to come in and participate with you the way you choose to participate, then you keep the door open. I always think of Bruno Mars song, I'm gonna leave that door open. Like that's you, but that's you. You have to decide, right? And there's a lot of people say like, no, this person was totally rude to you. You should close that door. But there's other personal experiences where I'll use LinkedIn interactions as an example on this side, but like there's people who you interact with and you're like, you know what? I don't like these interactions. So I'm gonna not be connected to you anymore because I don't think it's a authentic representation of the people I connect to. But you should feel good about it, right? So if you're sitting there and being like, I'll leave the door open because I should, that's not a good reason. You're gonna leave the door open because you want to, then great. But that also, it means it's not dependent on the other person. It's not dependent on them walking back through that door is mine, right? Like I choose when to open it and I choose when to close it. And I don't control whether the wind blows through it, aka
Mhm.
my sisters.
Right.
But I can open it. And if I feel
Mhm.
good about having opened that door, then that's it. That's where I stop measuring the impact, right? That's it. And yeah, Mike is saying my door is closed but not locked. When they can approach me with respect, I'll open the door. This is all, there's no right or wrong here. That's like Mike's door, right? Like, and Felipe has a door, and Mary has a door, and I have a door, and Carrie has a door, right? Like, we all have our own doors. How we decide to treat our door is ours. And if someone else wants to judge us, then forget that, right? Like, let them deal with their own door. They're so concerned about my door. You should go and be concerned about your own door. But like, as long as it feels like you haven't, I've locked my door because people say I should lock my door, but I really wish I had a relationship with my family, right? Like, no, then unlock your door.
Right. Absolutely.
So like,
Absolutely.
what is yours?
Absolutely. And you're right, Coach. Carrie has the doors on top of the, like, you open this door, it's another door, the open is another list, and
It's
there's
like Alice in Wonderland, and you open one door
Yeah.
and then there's a smaller door. Yeah.
Right, because I'm heavy on protecting my peace and protecting my space. But it's definitely about flow. And so your focus is on flow, right? Getting all the parts of the system, moving, even if it's slowly, so that you can find the leaks. Where do you find that entrepreneurs are blocked and sometimes they just don't know it?
I mean, in lots of places. I will take a bold stance and say that the biggest place where we are locked is in here. We are locked in our heads, right? We are locked in a belief that is not serving us. We're locked in a belief that this is what marketing is. Okay, well, if that doesn't energize you, does it help you that you are locked in that belief? Even like Carrie, you use the phrase, I want to protect. I want to protect my energy. I want to protect my energy. I want to protect my time. That's a belief, right? Do you have to protect your time and energy? What if time and energy was fully free flowing? What if it flowed in and out and that was the flow, right? Like, and again, like, I'm not saying any of these things are like right or wrong, but it is our beliefs that keep us stuck there. And at the end of the day, every single huge shift that either I have made or I have seen my clients make is due to a mindset change. And a mindset change changes the behavior. You can't just change the behavior if the mindset doesn't match, because the behavior will feel painful. And then you'll have lots of reasons to not do the behavior. It's just wasted distraction, right? Like wasted a whole bunch of time. And so like, let's look at where our minds are creating those barriers. And I think the most impactful way to like reveal those is to surround yourself in community with people who you have given your trust to give you good advice about that. Notice that I did not say that person earned your trust. You gave them it. Maybe they did something to earn that. Maybe they didn't, right? But I choose to say, like, I know most of the people in this chat right now. I choose to believe that they are good people trying to help me. So if they have something that they see that I don't see, then that's an opportunity for me to challenge, what are my perspectives here? And is it a perspective that's keeping me stuck? And the more you practice, it's a skill, right? These are skills. The more you practice, the better you get at it. It's like a free throw, right? To go way back to Gregory's question about which sport I played basketball. And so like, you don't get good at free throws by like thinking about free throws. You have to shoot them. You have to shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. And pretty soon you shoot so many, you don't have to think about it. Your body just does it. This is the same. Authenticity is the same behavior. Questioning your self-beliefs, same behavior. The more you do it, the easier it becomes soon. And it's, I mean, like, honestly, I have been on like a 14-year journey, personal development at this point, but that now I don't have to think about it. It just happens. Like, I have like auto challenge my perspectives in any new conversation with a person. Cool. Maybe it takes you 14 years. Maybe it takes you 10 years. You could be a little more intentional about it than I was probably. Maybe it takes you 20 years because everybody's different. That's not the point. No one is ahead and no one is behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And you get to decide what step to take next.
That's it. You get to decide what step to take next. And I appreciate that conversation around the language of protecting. You use the word barrier. And so there are so many things that people can stop doing as we get ready to wrap up this conversation. But what are some things that you think people can stop doing and just start doing differently after this conversation? So, one, I hear sounds like language. Any other things?
Language, but also just slow down. Just slow down. You're going too fast. Okay. I have a banner on my LinkedIn profile that says insights are found in the space. If you are not generating enough space, you are not generating insights, personal insights, professional insights, regardless. If all of your time is filled with stuff, with hustle, with running, there's no room for insight there. There's no room for knowledge. There's no room for growth. There's no room. We are rushing. And shooting guard, to confirm, Gregory. Good assumption there. I'm not that tall. So yes, shooting guard for me. But even in that, right? Like I love a good basketball analogy, right? So like if I'm trying to score a basket, does it make sense for me to get all of my players right in a row in front of the basket? No, it doesn't. That makes it congested. That just created congestion. I have full ability at any given time to create congestion, right? Like, could do that. We do that when we inbound the ball, but there's a very specific use case for that, right? Because it's about distraction. Oh, I didn't even think about that, but it's totally about distraction. When everything is like set up in the middle, it's about distraction. In order to create flow and movement and possibilities on the court, you spread out. You got the point guard at the top, you got your other guards around the side, you got your like tall people in the middle, right? Like this is how you create flow. It's very visually understandable on a basketball court. The rules are the same for entrepreneurs. So like create more space, spread it out. Dare I say, take some time to have coffee with somebody who really drives your energy up. Maybe if you like gardening, take some time in the middle of the day to go water the little seedlings, right? Like I like to read. I create time for me to read. I also like to do art with my son. So we make time to do that. And the time of those things, it doesn't have to be that much time. You could take 10 minutes, read one chapter. I'm very bad at reading one chapter. I'm not like obsessive reader that's like, I'll just do one more chapter. Just one more chapter. Right. Now I'm almost done. So I'm gonna just but like know yourself as well. But like it doesn't have to be hours and hours of space, but it does have to be, I'm like feeling all in my body. This was happening to me the other day. And I was like, I have to make this decision. And then I was like, I don't want to make this decision from like this energy. I walked out of my office and I have this little like vestibule outside my office. And I like jumped up and down, shook out my hands. And I was like, move it out, get out. I'm not going to make this decision right now. I'll come back in 20 minutes and make the decision. Most of us are not, unless you're working in an ER, a hospital room, right? Like most of us have that space. We're not taking the space. It is available. And most of the stuff you're filling it with isn't yours. So just like stop, look at stuff, and then put back in the most meaningful things.
I absolutely love that. Mary Kay says that we've touched on so many aspects of the human condition. We're captivating and complicated. And she continues to say that space is where life happens. That's a Viktor Frankl quote that says something like that. Viktor Frankl is the founder of logotherapy. He has an amazing book called Man's Search for Meaning. If you all haven't read that book, definitely get into it. And lastly, Stephen says, don't be afraid to be different from the noise. Draw up a different play if you need to. So in closing, if you were talking to somebody that was where you were 12 or 14 years ago, preparing to be in the space that you're in today, talk to the person who might be where you were what would you say to them right now? What would you have wanted someone to say to you then, if anything at all?
I am just going to come back to take a break. Take a break and see what's there. We all have so much stuff. We have so much stuff. Most of us are carrying it around like a really heavy suitcase with a dead body in it.
Oh, Lord.
Dragging it. And we don't really want it. We're like kind of ashamed of that. Like, we don't really want to be dragging the dead, but like, we don't really want any of the things that are in that suitcase, but we're still dragging it around. That's freaking heavy.
Yeah.
Like, just stop and be like, what is that? Why am I carrying that? Could I put it down? Recognize that you have behaviors that will make you not want to put it down. And you will probably find yourself dragging that suitcase again at some point. And the practice is in continually asking that question, do I want to be carrying that around? Do I want to be carrying that around? And if you decide not to, there's more practice, obviously, 14-year journey, keep it in mind. But the possibility exists of letting it go. And the very first thing that gets people to a new possibility is believing that it's there.
I love that. What an amazing way to end this amazing edition with the one and only authenticity coach, Tracy Borreson. If you're looking to learn more information about Tracy, about authenticity, make sure that you connect with her. You can connect with her on LinkedIn. There are so many different ways that you can connect with her, but LinkedIn is a great place to start. Brands that speak. So you want to connect with her on LinkedIn. Make sure that you get into her DMs if you really are authentic about having an authentic conversation, because we're not here for play, okay? And so make sure that you jump into those comments. Thank you all for watching Carrie Connects. We are here every single Saturday with a different guest, someone that I met through a coffee chat, or in this case, a tea chat, making sure that we have those authentic conversations, but allowing people an opportunity to tell their own story. And then on Sundays, you don't want to miss me at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I talk about how to really build on the idea of financial clarity. And so we're going to have that conversation tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Look for all things Tracy Borreson. She has some amazing podcasts throughout the week. Are there anything else that you want to let our guests know about, where to reach you, about your shows, the days, the times? And then we're going to wrap this thing up.
LinkedIn is hands down the best way to find me. So go find me there. I'm like super happy to connect. And really extra happy to talk about anything authenticity related. In fact, you can't avoid that if you were coming into a conversation with me. I call that strong branding. Right. So if you're not prepared for it, like, don't book a teach yet. And one of the things I do love too, and you mentioned it, Carrie, the Crazy Stupid Marketing Show. So that happens on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. I'm actually in Mountain Time, so that's 1 o'clock for me. But the whole point of the show is to help people understand what are some of those things that they might be doing that fall into the crazy stupid categories, and how to look at things a little bit differently, so that you're more empowered in your marketing. And I too have like really different guests. I've had like CFOs who focus on sustainability and what we can learn about that in marketing. And I'm a big fan of cross-pollination. So it's not your typical marketing show. So be prepared for that. It is long form. We have long conversations. We open cans of worms. We do not tell you what to do. You got to figure out what you're going to test. But I think that is the point, and that is the skill. So if we're not going to make people do it, then what are we doing here? So yeah, Gregory, you like tea too? Oh, hot chocolate. I do like me some good hot chocolate sometimes too, although it's a little too sweet mostly for me. I like my tea. But yeah, come and chat. Let's all be a little more authentic by hanging out with authentic peeps.
All right. And so you heard it from the authenticity coach herself. Come and hang out. And let's spend some time being more authentic. And so thank you so much for spending this time with us. This has been Carrie Connects, and I'm Coach Carrie. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Hey, welcome in. Let the good vibes all begin. Something good is about to happen. Sure. Started with a coffee chat. Now we about to change the game. You got a story worth telling, and I got a room full of ears. So drop whatever you've been holding. Get ready because your time is here. Because when real people talk to real people, something shifts. When real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up and we bring our best. Show up to Carrie Connects and leave it best. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. This is your moment, come near. Where every story intersects and every heart connects. From a coffee chat to the main stage, just bring who you are. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Connection is the start. Carrie Connects. Entrepreneurs, voices, friends, where inspiration never ends. You did not come this far just to sit in the back. Everything you walk through was getting you ready for that. So step into the light. Let somebody